Today, we're diving into a fascinating linguistic cold case. It's a story about a word that seems to have just vanished from the Japanese language, a word that connects it all the way back to Korea and even ancient India. But what if I told you it didn't disappear at all? What if it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time? Okay, so let's get right into it. The whole mystery starts with a really simple question. In Korean, when you're talking respectfully about people, you use the word bun, pronounced bun. It's a super common honorific. But in Japanese, a language that has deep historical ties to Korean, that word is just gone, nowhere to be found. So why is that? And you can see it right here. If you go into a restaurant in Korea, they might ask 몇 분이세요, basically how many people in your party. But in Japan, you'd hear nanmei-sama desu ka? They use a totally different word. So where did bun go? Did it just get lost somewhere along the way? Or did something way more interesting happen? Well, this little puzzle leads us to a pretty radical linguistic theory. It suggests we're not just looking for a word that went missing. No, we're actually on the hunt for a word that pulled off a complete transformation, a kind of linguistic shapeshifter. Okay, so here's the big idea. The theory is this. Bun didn't vanish. It evolved. It changed its sound, it changed its job, and it became Hito, the standard, everyday Japanese word for person. Now, that's a pretty bold claim, I know. So let's dig in and see if the evidence actually holds up. All right, to crack this case, we've got to go back to the source. Our first step is to really understand the true nature of bun in the Korean language. This is our first major clue, and it's all about getting to the word's fundamental essence. So the key here is something called the essence theory, and the idea is pretty cool. In Korean, when you use a counting phrase that starts with 몇, which means how many, the word that comes after it isn't just a simple counter. It actually represents the fundamental nature, the very soul of the thing you're counting. And you can see exactly how this logic works. When you say 몇 개, 개 represents the essence of a thing or an object. When you say 몇 마리, 마리 is the essence of an animal. So if you just follow that pattern, when you say 몇 분, the word bun has to be the essence of a person or a being. See? It's not just a counter, it's actually a noun. Okay. So if bun basically means person, how in the world could it turn into Hito? That seems like a huge leap. To connect these two words, we need to crack a kind of secret sound code, a linguistic Rosetta Stone that shows us how sounds can shift over hundreds of years. And believe it or not, we actually have that key. It's a historical sound law with a pretty official name, the 1436 pronunciation rule. This rule is the absolute turning point in our investigation, and it gives us the exact link we've been looking for. And this is the smoking gun. The 1436 rule lays out a super consistent phonetic pattern, where the Korean initial B sound often corresponds to an H sound in Japanese. So the Korean word bun, starting with that B, lines up perfectly with the first part of the Japanese word hito, which is high, starting with an H. It's a direct, undeniable hit. But wait, the story gets even bigger. This word's incredible journey didn't even start in Korea. Now we're going to follow the trail even further back, way back in time, all the way to ancient India. Just check out this timeline. It's wild. Linguists have traced the origin of this whole idea to the ancient Sanskrit word Puṃs, which meant man or person. From there, it's believed to have traveled and become bun in Korean, and then through those sound changes we just talked about, it evolved into Hito in Japanese. We're talking about one single concept traveling across thousands of years and thousands of miles. And the evidence from Sanskrit is just so compelling. Puṃs sounds almost identical to bun, and its initial P sound is the perfect candidate for that P to H shift we saw earlier. And get this, there's even another related word, Bhūta, which comes from the root to be or to exist. That just reinforces our essence theory, that bun isn't just a word for a person, but for a living being. Okay, we're almost there. We've connected the first sound, we've linked the B to the H, but there's still one final piece of the puzzle we need to solve. How did a short, one-syllable word like bun become the two-syllable word we know today, Hito? So yeah, we've explained the high part of Hito, but where in the world did that to sound at the end come from? Well, the answer lies in a really fundamental difference in the way the two languages are built. It all comes down to something we can call the tachisutu teto principle. You see, the Japanese language just loves open syllables. That is, sounds that end with a nice clean vowel sound. A word like bun, which ends with that hard N consonant, is a closed syllable. It just doesn't quite fit the natural flow. So, to survive, it had to change. So, let's just walk through that final transformation step by step. First, the word bun enters this Japanese linguistic environment. Second, its initial B sound shifts to an H, giving us hun. Third, to fit that open syllable preference, the final N consonant gets dropped, and a new clarifying syllable, to, is tacked on to the end. And just like that, bun becomes hito. Which brings us all the way back to our original question. Why don't the Japanese say bun? Well, the answer is kind of mind-blowing. In Korean, the word bun stayed in its original form as this special, respectful counterword. But in Japanese, that exact same root word went on this incredible journey, changing its sound to become the main, everyday word for a person, hito. So the ultimate takeaway here is this. Bun isn't missing. It never disappeared at all. It's been there the entire time, living and breathing right inside the Japanese word hito. It's just an amazing reminder of the deep, deep history that's encoded in our language. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other ancient secrets are just hiding out in the open, in the words we use every single day?